with the pandemic and inshallah allow it to be lifted from us. Along with that, I also hope that this Ramadan is still full of benefit and growth, especially with the fact that we are in the last 10 nights. Hopefully we should be able to make use of them and elevate our status. With that being said, we are going to be kicking off the last of the Ramadan sessions for 2020. So for quite a few years, Al-Arqam has been hosting Ramadan sessions for various topics that are pertinent to the Muslim community. These talks include different things such as tazkiyah, presentation on each of the four madahib, Islamic financing, modernity, hadith sciences, Sufism, and tafsir, and some of which are available on our YouTube and Facebook pages if you guys are interested in checking that out. So for the Ramadan sessions for 2020, so far we've had the following talks, which are Embracing Uncertainty in Life and Sharia with Dr. Uthman Umarji. We've had approaches to reading the Quran with Brother Muhsin Ali. We had Atheism and its Causes with Brother Harun Aish. And today's discussion should be on the topic of good and evil and the problem of evil with Brother Iyad Hilal. So our initial speaker, Brother Muhammad Hanini, was not able to make this session due to particular circumstances. But inshallah, we hope to see content coming from him soon. The focus of this topic today is related to the problem of evil and how to understand evil. We'll be looking at it from a historical perspective with views from selected Muslim thinkers. And inshallah, we'll end the session with a suggested paradigm that is built upon the Islamic Aqidah and that is appreciative of our Turath, our Islamic literature, and teaches us how to look towards these problems. Joining us today, we have Brother Iyad Hilal, who has a master's degree in Islamic law and principles of Islamic law. He's authored publications, journals, and books relevant to Muslims in the United States since the 80s, and most notable of which is an introductory text which discusses principles of Islamic law, which is titled Studies in Usul al-Fiqh. And we are currently working on an upcoming 4th edition, so please stay tuned for updates related to that. And without further ado, I will pass off the session to Brother Iyad.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد بن عبد الله النبي الصادق الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم ارفع البلاء والوباء عنا. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك أنت الحليم الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today we will address this issue, the problem of evil. And one would ask, what are we going to discuss? So we're going to discuss the following topics. Why, first of all, the importance of this topic? Why do we need to discuss it? What is expected from me after watching this or after listening to this? What's the origin of this issue, the issue of evil? And the relationship between this issue, the issue of evil, and atheism, and in which we'll introduce some work of some ex-atheists who had been atheists because of evil and later on turned to be theists and believed in God. And then we will talk about dualism, that there are two gods, and brief summary, how did Muslims address it? The main focus will be on Al-Maturidi and Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahumullah. And then how did Quran address it? And then a suggested paradigm and how to view the good and evil, and then a conclusion. Let's move to the first topic. Why do we need to discuss this? We are living in one world. Actually, they used to say now the world is a small village. Now I would say the world is a small apartment. If your son or daughter or brother gets into their bedroom, the world is the bedroom. Through the internet, they can communicate with anyone whom we don't know and we are not aware of. So we cannot say, yeah, we are okay, everything is going good, everything is going fine. And we cannot monitor, we cannot police people. So there will be, some of them will be influenced by this. But this means that we do need to address this issue properly. Needless to say that the problem of the evil has become the main quote-unquote proof for the atheists in their denial of God. They claim that the existence of evil means no God. If there is God, there should be no evil. Since there is evil, it means there is no God. Now, that's before the recent incidents happened in the Arab world and in the Muslim world. You have the Arab Spring. Arab Spring at the beginning brought hope to people, but it ended up with killing more people. Thousands of people got killed unjustly without any justification, just to establish certain tyranny and to suppress people. And this killing is happening till now. We witness killing in Libya, we witness killing in Yemen, and we witness killing in other different areas in the Arab world and in the Muslim world. And you have also the attack on Gaza. The way people watched it, the way the entire world watched it without doing anything. And then you have the ISIS atrocities. So, and we know what did they do, especially they did it by the name of Islam, claiming this is Islam. So because of this, some people turned as atheists. Now, you can philosophize the things, you can put the blame on this person or that person. Nevertheless, practically speaking, some people became atheists. And the point is, because some of them could not understand why is this happening. If God is with us, where is he? Where is God? Some people questioned, and some there is investigative report was produced by Al Jazeera in Arabic, and it talks about some people, how did they move to atheism after what happened in Egypt, particularly in Egypt. You can't imagine what they did and what they said. You know, how did that affect them? Now, you know, one of them was saying, we were told that God is with us and the angels are with us. So we ended up, you know, losing our brothers, our sisters, thousands of people. The government sources say it's around 1,000. One person is more than enough. So they say, where is God? They said that we started questioning God starting from that. Another person from Gaza, the same thing, said, where is God? Now, you don't say, well, you know what, I will need to lecture you in a certain way. That's too late at that moment. Yes, there are some people gave people high hopes, high expectation, telling them God is with us. Tonight, Jibril came to the Rabi'a Square and I had the president leading the prayer in reference to Muhammad Morsi. Of course, this shouldn't be done. No problem about this. But also, those who are listening, not all of them will listen and process this information properly. One of us, if he listens or she listens to this, we understand, yeah, it's exaggeration from the speaker. It's a mistake from the speaker to start talking in this way. But not everyone have the same way to process things. So some people get into atheism because of this. And of course, they don't have the right frame to understand evil. Just as a reaction, since this happened, it means that there is no God. If what ISIS is doing is Islam, then there is no Islam. As simple as this, they will say. So we need to discuss this issue. This puts urgency to discuss it. Why is there evil in the world? And where is God? Where is our Iman? So this is maybe some suggested things presented to show the urgency of this topic. Please, the moderator will take care of any suggestion or any discussion or any comment. So as it comes, please let him know. Now, what do we expect after listening or watching this? Having a good understanding of this issue, the issue of evil, and being equipped with the approach Quran presented this issue. And then try to develop a paradigm, putting this issue within certain context, based on the Islamic Aqidah. And while we do so, we need to appreciate our heritage, our turath. Every now and then we see some people insulting our turath. Well, our turath is not infallible. The turath means the human elaboration on the Shari'i sources. So separate the Shari'i sources from the turath. The Shari'i sources, Quran and Sunnah, the source is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the elaboration, the tafsir, the way people compared the hadith, the way people commented on the hadith, Arabic language, the way people looked at Arabic language, ilm al-kalam, theology, all of this is part of our turath. All of it is a human product, not from their own, but their elaboration. And our turath is very diverse. So not each and every single thing in the turath is correct, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we have to throw the turath away. A nation without legacy, without heritage, without culture is not a nation at all. If we detach ourselves from whatever had been produced in the past, we are detaching ourselves from our roots. So while we don't claim that the turath is infallible, at the same time, we don't just throw it away. We need to study it, and we need to study it in a critical way. If there is something right in it, we'll take it. If there is something wrong in it, we don't have to take it. So we need to, therefore, this is our expectation from this, from after today's discussion, inshallah. Now let's go back to the origin. The origin of this issue evil goes back to the days of the Greek philosophers. We have Epicurus, in Arabic called Epicur. He put the problem as the following: if there is a God with infinite power, omnipotent, and with complete mercy and complete knowledge, if we have this, if this God exists, then evil does not exist. But he claims there is evil in the world. Therefore, a God with these qualities does not exist. Now, many critiques are addressed and to this line of thought. First of all, it is reversed logic, and it is argumentative approach, and ignoring other attributes of the creator, the hikmah, the wisdom, the will, the irada. And it can be encountered by another argument. That's point. Mainly, why do you start with if? This condition. Why don't we start with looking at this universe and check if there's God or not? Once we establish that there is God, then we proceed in the discussion. We don't go retrospective and say, oh yeah, since this is bad, it means no God. But from the very beginning, when we started with this universe as is, it has things based on certain system. Some people view certain things as bad, some other people view the same thing as good. So all of this is there in the universe. Sickness is there. Diseases are there. The issue, the natural phenomena, earthquake, volcanoes, all of this is there. Yet we see that the whole universe can't exist on its own, as simple as this. If you just walk and you saw a rose thrown in the street. Oh, somebody throw it, put it here. It didn't come on its own. There is a power, whether someone, a human power or wind. It didn't come there on its own. This universe didn't exist on its own. Then we move to understand the issue of evil. But starting with F and reaching to your own conclusion, you know, and that if there is God with these things, evil shouldn't exist. Why? What about if we add those issues, the hikmah, the will? And we'll talk about this later on, how to present the paradigm. So, and furthermore, there is a world without evil. You want a world without evil? There is. Work for it. The Jannah, the paradise. So it's not right to present the case the way Epicurus presented it. But the atheists took it and considered evil as a reason for rejecting God. And in most cases, actually, they reacted to the image of God as being presented in the Old Testament. We have Richard Dawkins, an example of this. He linked evil with the behavior of faith, evil behavior with faith. This is the equation for him. Faith leads to evil. But he failed to describe the evil of Stalin and other communists who are atheists. How can you have an atheist like Stalin with all of this evil, his evil? How can you have atheist with the Chinese Communist Party with all of its evil? So there is no link between evil and between the faith of the person. There can be a link between evil and the decision of that person to do wrong things. And the decision can be attributed to many things. But that's what he said. And he said, actually, in one article, the God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fictions. And I didn't want to bring the full quote. Unbelievable. He started adding attributes to God based on what he took from the Old Testament. But wait a minute. Instead of questioning God, why don't you question that quote in the Old Testament? That's a point. To deny God because the Old Testament said this, well, that's not the right approach. And then also, yet he is not sure that there is no God. So he wrote in one of his blogs, why there almost is no God. It's almost there is no God. But he didn't say there is no God. With all of what he thinks of and what he writes, he is from the new atheism that goes beyond than just denying God. Last week we talked, the brother who presented atheism, Brother Harun Ayesh, he talked about it and he said there are two kinds of atheists. One person, okay, this is what he believes in. Another people also go beyond than this, then they start attacking religion. Dawkins is of the second kind. He is a new atheist. He doesn't just, he's not content with just his views. And we listen to all of his maybe tapes. What made the issue of evil as an issue, number one, the lack of purpose in life. Life is just a matter. If life is just a matter, there is no purpose, you know, okay. Me thinking that the man is the center of the universe, then I will link anything to the creator, because the creator is not the center of the universe. I am the center of the universe. I am the boss. So we need to look at this within this point. Another point, now some atheists, actually, this person, Anthony Flew, was atheist because of evil. And then he wrote this excellent book, There Is a God. Look to how did he scratch no with A. how the world's most notorious atheist changed his mind. So, I mean, at times we try to feel helpless when some people start presenting their arguments. Let's understand that these arguments are easy to challenge, to be challenged if we present a right paradigm, a right frame. We shouldn't be threatened by their challenges. So, by their arguments. Let's move to another point. How did people in the past view the issue of evil? We'll talk about the Zoroastrians, and many philosophies emerged within the Zoroastrian philosophy. One of them is dualism, al-Mathnawiyya, or Manichaeism. Generally speaking, it's the same. There are some differences. There are two gods. They looked at the evil. There is evil. It can't be from God, but there is God, so there must be another God. So they started promoting Ilahul Khair and Ilahul Shar. One God for good and one God for evil. Now, this was heavily refuted by Muslims and non-Muslims alike. These three ayat are brought up talking about this. لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. If there is in the heavens and the earth gods other than Allah, then they will be spoiled. And another ayah, that's in Surah 22, ayah 22. Another ayah, ما اتخذ الله من ولد وما كان معه من إله إذا لذهب كل إله بما خلق وعلى بعضهم على بعض. Allah didn't choose a son and there is no God with him. Otherwise, if there is another God with him, then each God will go with what it quote unquote created, with its own kingdom, and one of them will overpower the other. Surah 23, ayah 91. قل لو كان معه آلهة كما يقولون إذا لابتغوا إلى ذي العرش سبيلا. In responding to Quraysh, if you are claiming that there are gods, then with him, and you say that those gods will get us closer and closer to him, then you should have a way to reach to God through this paradigm. Now, different Muslim scholars developed different conclusions. Mu'tazila and Ash'aris, they understood from these ayat what they call dalil al-tamanu, the evidence of exclusion. That if there are two gods, then we have certain possibilities. Either they will agree on something or they disagree on something. If they disagree on something, either one of them will overpower the other or not, or they will be equal. Ibn Rushd, he was very critical of this. He said these ayat are telling us that there can be no God by our fitra, self-evident issues, by the nature of the human. Nature of the human does not accept two gods, as we don't accept, and even in our daily life, we don't accept two chefs in one kitchen. How can you look at the universe and you say, yeah, it is created by two gods? It simply, Ibn Rushd says, it simply doesn't work. And he said it is implanted in man's instinct and nature. Now, this example shows us the diversity of our Turath. How did Ibn Rushd look at it? How did the Mu'tazila and the Ash'ari look at it? Mu'tazila and Ash'ari belong to one group, it's Ulama al-Kalam, and Ibn Rushd belongs to another group called the philosophers. Ibn Rushd is one of the most important Muslim philosophers in our history. So each one of them looked at the very same ayat in different ways. Now, the point is not to say which approach is right. The point is that these ayat are refuting the concept of having two gods. Now, how to present it to the resistant person, it's between you and him, how the communication is going on. I cannot suggest you a certain style you should use while you are discussing with this person. It depends on the situation and how the discussion goes. But the point is, this is an attempt in the past, very past, to talk about issue of atheism, of evil, actually, I should say. Now, you have another approach, pantheism and God's incarnation in man, al-hulul. They say no evil exists at all. There is no evil. They deny the presence or the existence of evil. Spinoza, he believes in pantheism. He said there is one substance only. Things exist are all either thing or action. Evil and good is none of them. It's not thing, it's not an action, so it doesn't exist at all. And then Al-Hallaj, he was a Sufi, died in the year 309 Hijri. He believes in Al-Hulul, the incarnation, that God incarnates in us. That's why he used to say, Ana Allah, Ana al-Haq. I am Allah, I am the Haq. And he went as far as not just denying the evil, he said that Iblis is good. And his work is translated, and you can see how his dialogue with Iblis went, according to him.
So there's a quick comment, by the way, in the chat.
Yes.
So someone's mentioning actually having two gods defeats the very definition of God as independent and unlimited. Saying there exists two gods means two different wills and being dependent on the other's will.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But how does it defeat? Ibn Rushd says it goes back to it is implanted in man's instinct in nature. We don't accept by nature two gods. It can't be. The Mutakallimin, they brought up the issue of the evidence of the exclusion, dalil al-tamanu, to prove it. But yes, whether you use this or that, the ayat are very clear in what they present. Yes, right. So we are here done with the pantheism and with the incarnation and how did they view evil. But the point is, denying the existence of the evil doesn't help, doesn't explain. People in their daily life will see what they perceive as evil. That's what they see. So how can we explain it? By just denying it, it will not work. Now, Muslims.
There is another quick question, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
Someone's asking if you can quickly recap the argument of Hallaj talking about why Iblis is good.
Al-Hallaj, he says he believes in the incarnation. Among the Sufis, the Sufism is divided into two major categories. The intellectual Sufis, that they have certain frame, certain system of belief, Ibn Arabi and Al-Hallaj. Ibn Arabi believes in Wahdat al-Wujud. Some people translate Wahdat al-Wujud to mean pantheism. Some people didn't agree on that translation. But Wahdat al-Wujud in general means there is no difference between, there is one truth. There is no difference between us and between God. We are just reflection for God. If people worship different gods, actually they just worshipped God. He said it in Fusus al-Hikam and al-Futuhat al-Makkiyah. Now it's very difficult to figure out what is the Aqidah actually Ibn Arabi adopts, because in al-Futuhat al-Makkiyah, in the introduction, he said that I am presenting 4 levels of Aqidah. The highest level of Aqidah, he said, this is ila khawas al-khawas, to the cream of people. He said, I'm not going to define it. You have to read it and figure out what it is while you are reading in this book, going through this book. And the first level is the typical Ash'ari Aqidah, he says, and then another elaboration, another forms of his Aqidah. So by reading Al-Fusus and Al-Futuhat Al-Makkiyah, you can tell that he believes in Wahdat al-Wujud. And so many things and he mentioned about this. But Al-Hallaj, he believes in the incarnation, that God incarnates in us. So he is saying that God incarnated in him. So that's why he said, Ana al-Haq, I am the Haq, the truth. And he was actually the judge issued the verdict against him because of his heretic views, and he was killed, executed. So Al-Hallaj, he has mainly one book, At-Tawasin. It's available in Arabic. I have a copy of it, but he has also this book, At-Tawasin, Al-Amal al-Kamila al-Hallaj, the Hallaj's entire work is translated into English. I can provide you later on if someone leaves a note with source, talk about this translation, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. Any other question, please? Okay.
Nothing here.
Now, Muslims, how did Muslims address evil? We have Al-Mu'tazila. We have from among Al-Mu'tazila, Al-Qadi Abd al-Jabbar. We'll talk a little bit about them. We have Imam al-Ghazali. I chose those people. We have Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. We have Ibn Rushd, and we have Ibn al-Qayyim. The main point is that evil can include good in it. Okay, but the focus will be on this, like I mentioned. There are so many views about this. Unbelievable. The huge of the literature talks about this. It cannot be presented on one session. You know, actually, while I was preparing for this, one brother asked, are you sure that you will be able to address all of this in one session? So we trimmed it. We took off so many things of it because it will get us beyond the time. And I am claiming now, if we need to understand this issue of evil in a thorough way, maybe you need a course for several weeks. But it doesn't mean that we should discard all of what it has. Al-Qadi Abd al-Jabbar, basically, he is from the Mu'tazila, as we know. And he said the theme of Mu'tazila, God did not create evil. And his focus is on the consequences, the results, not on the substance of something. And he said that there are three kinds of actions. There is good, that has good benefits for people. There is good, but has harm to some people, like the punishment. It is harm, but it is just an action. That's the way he looked at, as an example, Adab Jahannam. You can't say as much as you want about Adab Jahannam, but at the end of the day, is it just action or not? That's the question. And he said, thus, we cannot call these things evil except in a metaphorical way. And he says the third kind is the evil, the bad harm. So you have good and good harm and bad harm. Bad harm, he says, is like the disbelief. Harm for animals, he says they are not bad because there are benefits. Harm can be labeled as evil if it causes pain and affliction upon people. But if its results give us some good results, then it cannot be evil. And at the same time, something you enjoy can be really evil, like the poisoned food. You enjoy the taste, but it is poison. So this is a very rough summary his opinions. I don't claim that I presented his views thoroughly, because we cannot actually go through all of this. But just giving you a general idea that they have argument. They introduced something to address the issue of evil. Now, Al-Ghazali, he introduced the theory of what is called Afdal al-Awalim. Afdal al-Awalim means that the world which we see is the best possibility. There can be no other possibility. But it had been criticized by many people. And the point here is, after we establish that there is a creator, why should we go back and start discussing after we say there is a creator? Can there be different universe? Why did God create it in this way? Can God create it in another way or not? All of this is irrelevant, because, okay, the starting point was in this universe as is. So what's the benefit of keep asking, can God create it in another way? Our discussion is not on the might of the creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is powerful, but we shouldn't get into discussion of the nature of this attribute. That's why some people bring distorted questions. Okay, if there is God, can God create? We heard about this every time. Can God create me in another shape? Well, God created, we start with us. We in this shape, we reach to the conclusion that we, the way we are created. That's it. Why should we ask, okay, can God create a rock that he cannot carry? This is a distorted question. The question is in self-conflict with itself. What do you mean, can God create something he cannot carry? What do you mean that God can create another God? Can God create another God? Well, the created will be not God by the fact it is created. We have two words, either creator or created. We don't have a created creator. This is nonsense to say there is three categories. We have creator, we have created, and we have created the creator. It doesn't work in this way. And but he introduced it within the concept of the trust in Allah. How to build the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the highest level of it. It provides a guideline. You put your trust on God the way God created us, despite the apparent imperfections, what we say, in this world. And actually, the apparent imperfections in this world is the very same evidence that this world is created. This world is created because it's not perfect. This world is created because we have certain limitations. Because we have certain deficiencies. Or this world is created because, there is everything geared to certain system to support everything. And he says God's will, iradatullah, includes all initiated things, al-muhdathat. So don't discuss the irada of Allah within the realm of, quote unquote, the theoretical possibilities. Create a possible scenario, okay, that doesn't exist, and you start, can God do this? Or can God do that? So within this, he says khair and shar are included. But the khair, the pure good, is the very existence of something. And the deprivation is the pure evil. And he said that different levels of people is good and needed. Actually.
We have someone who raised their hand.
Yes.
If you want to go ahead and speak.
Go ahead. Okay, you are the moderator.
Yeah. You can unmute yourself if you would like. Sister Rehan. Okay. So the option to unmute yourself is there, but if that was unintentional, I guess we can continue going forward.
What's that?
I think it might have been like unintentional or something. So we could probably
Okay.
just move forward then.
Okay. Now, let's talk about Al-Maturidi. Maturidi died in this year, 4th century, 333. He says pure or absolute evil does not exist in the world. At times it is subjective. But God created all, because this is the doctrine of the Ash'ari and the Maturidi groups. But he, among all, was the one who used this issue of evil as an evidence for the creator. I read 2 papers. I will bring list of references at the end of this discussion. One of them is, and both of them actually, one of them Muslim, one of them is in the Western academia. They said he, and even the one who edited his book, he is the one who, among all others, took the issue of evil as an evidence to the existence of the creator. How? In his book At-Tawheed, he wrote the following. I'm mentioning the translation. He said the second proof that the world has one who gave it temporal existence is that the following. If the world existed by its own essence, then what will happen? No instance in it will be more fit than the other. Why do you say this must be there? And it must exist, has more right or than the other possibility. Always there are different possibilities. And no state, no hal would be more appropriate than the other. And no characteristic, sifa, will be more seemly, alyaq, than the other. See this line of argument? This universe is in this way. If it has its own, then why did this way come into existence? Because there are so many possibilities. Why from among all other states or characteristics or instances just came this one, which we have? Then he says, since it exists with these instant states and characteristics which differ from one another, it is proven that it does not exist by its own essence. This is a new evidence Al-Maturidi brought for the existence of God, different than the traditional Ash'ari method and some mutakallimin method, even also Al-Mu'tazila. He departed from atomism theory. Now he says also, furthermore, if it did exist on its own, then wait a minute, give us an explanation for the following. It would be possible that each thing would have for itself such states and characteristics as are the best and most beautiful, and so on. By doing so, it wouldn't be possible to say that moral and physical evils, الشرور والقبائح, can exist. Because why, if the earth brought itself into existence, why did the earth brought itself into the existence in this way? Some area is desert, some other area is not desert. Some area is good, some area is not good. Some area can be inhabited, some other area in the land cannot be inhabited. So it has this and that. So it wouldn't be impossible to say that the moral and physical evil exist. Because of this, it will get rid of all of this. But the fact is that they exist, the evil and the physical evil. The moral and physical evil, they do exist, الشرور والقبائح. Therefore, their existence shows us the existence, that the existence of the world cannot be by its own self at all. Is it clear, please? If this universe,
All clear.
yes,
No, it's clear.
Okay, so if this universe exists on its own, there should be another situation, another states, another characteristics, and each one of them will be good because it's for me. If I want to have something good for me, if I want to choose something for me, I will choose the best. If the earth wants to choose something for her, for the mother planet, then it would be the best. But the fact is that it is not, quote unquote, it's not the best. There are moral evils and there are physical evils, surur and qaba'ih. Since they exist, it means that this things which we are looking at did not come into existence by their own self. That the world, it means that the existence of the world came about by something other than itself, creator. He mentioned this in Kitab al-Tawheed. Those who want the Arabic edition, there are so many editions. I have Istanbul edition, page 83, and some other editions, page 17, for those who want to follow up on this. Now, Ibn Rushd, philosopher, he lived in Andalusia, died in the 6th century. He says that yes, it is necessary to attribute the creation of evil to him, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but shouldn't be understood in absolute sense. He is the creator of good for its own sake and created the evil for the sake of good that is conjoined on it, to it. خلق الخير لذاته والشر لما فيه من خير. On this view, God's creation of evil can be looked at as just. And he talks about this الكشف عن مناهج الأدلة باب الجور والعدل, and it is translated recently, Faith and Reason in Islam by Abios, page 38 to 44, chapter about the justice and injustice.
So there is another question.
Yes.
We all know that all ilm belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever knowledge is known to mankind is by Allah.
Yes.
So is it erroneous to label a person as the creator of such and such, for example, apps, inventions, etc., and when people put patents on their quote-unquote creations?
Yeah, of course, when we use the word creation, خلق, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran Kareem, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. Glorified Allah, the best of the creators. So if man wants to create something, at most, he will take a piece of wood, will make a statue out of it. But he cannot create something out of nothing. Nothing at all. He can, another scientist will take the potato, will manipulate its DNA and genetics and give us a new, let me say, kind. We used to see the tomato as just red. Now we have, then after that, red and blue, and now we have different colors. So this is genetical manipulation, but not out of nothing. God is Ahsan Khaliqin. He is the one who created us out of nothing. We were nothing, and we came into existence by him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, we cannot label anyone as a creator in this sense, astaghfirullah. But as linguistic meaning of the word creation, to make something, not out of nothing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described others, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ, the best of the creators. Now, we'll move to Ibn al-Qayyim. Ibn al-Qayyim, he says the following. God, he is the student of Ibn Taymiyyah, by the way, rahimahumullah. He said that God created good and evil, but evil is in some of his creation, not in God attribute of creating, of his actions. So evil, shar or dhulum, is when you put something not in its appropriate place. Using things and performing actions not according to Allah's command is evil, is dhulm. God told us to do it in this way. So we changed the categorization and we start doing it. So we put things not in the right place. And that's why Quran Karim considered shirk as dhulm. قال يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. Luqman told his son, don't associate with Allah, because associating with anyone with Allah is a great dhulm. Why great dhulm? Because you are not putting things in the right place. Those idols, their place is not in that position. Their place is in the position of being created things. You made them. They didn't make you. They cannot even hear you when you submit to them. So putting them as partners, as equal partners with God, is dhulm, is unjust. So he says using things and performing actions not as Allah commanded is the dhulm. Now he says evil as an independent phenomenon where no dimension of good is involved has no existence. Always, if there is bad thing, there will be good thing in it. And he brings us examples. The sickness harms the body on one side, but on the other side, it tests the patience, it tests the resilience, and even strengthens immunity at times. So you cannot say sickness is quote unquote pure harm. Now one person would say, well, what about the current pandemic? Isn't it pure harm, pure evil? It is bad. No one says it's not bad, but there is something good coming out of it. Inshallah Rabbil Alameen. What is that something good out of it? You know, I was listening to many Muslims talking about how to worship in this month of Ramadan. One of them brought up one point. He said, really, it brought to us this opportunity, an opportunity to focus, to see how individual ibadah at our homes is valuable. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one hadith said, "La taj'alu qubur buyutakum maqabir." Don't make your homes graveyards. So just keep praying in the mosque every day, every moment, even the sunnah. You are actually converting your home to be a graveyard. That's why they said Salatul Jum'ah, the sunnah which you pray after Salatul Jum'ah, it's better to pray it at home. And if you pray sunnah at your home and go to the masjid to pray the congregation. But now we are forced to just pray at home. And we appreciate this away from the hassle that comes every year. The iftar, the collective iftar, the walima, the invitation. People used to prepare for Ramadan in this social way from Sha'ban. You know, I used to talk to some people and they said, we are already booked. Since when you are booked? Ramadan didn't come. I said, Abu Tariq, well, we are booked in Sha'ban. That's the way we are preparing for Ramadan. We used to prepare for Ramadan. But what about the spiritual preparation? Now we are not getting into all of these social practices. We have more time to focus on the spiritual aspect of the Siyam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So we shouldn't look at this coronavirus as pure evil. It can also, another way, it is a challenge for the medical professionals. How can we develop certain vaccine or certain approach to address this situation? So there is something good in it. It's not good in it's the negative results, the death and the suffering and all of this, but there is something good into it if we think about it. So Ibn al-Qayyim says there is no pure evil exists in this world. And most described things are usually in this way, never void of something benefit or another for the human being.
So there are a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Or one comment and one question. So the first comment is Ibn al-Qayyim's approach is a helpful one, I think. Without evil, we cannot know of a second order good like courage, resilience, etc. and it's an approach that makes sense of things like COVID.
Yes, that's right. And when I try to choose certain people, like I said at the beginning, I presented so many thinkers and scholars and names. But wait a minute, you cannot address all of them. So let's have more relevant. I saw the way Ibn al-Qayyim presented it is very practical, very relevant to us. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And it is helpful, helping us to go up with whatever we face nowadays. Yes.
And the other question is regarding the second bullet point that you have. But evil is in some of his creatures, not in his attribute of creating or his actions. The person's asking if basically, are you saying that the evil is in the tendency in creation or as a result of the creation?
What he means, the problem is in the translation. He says evil can exist in some of خلق في بعض خلقه لا في خلقه هو. يعني he should say the evil exists in some of his creatures, okay, not in him, because Allah has no quote unquote khalq. God did not create himself. God is not self-sufficient. I keep reading this term self-sufficient. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be described as self-sufficient. Allah huwa al-ghani. Al-Ghani does not translate into self-sufficient at all. Al-Ghani is the one who is not in need for anyone. It doesn't mean that he has self-mechanism to satisfy his needs. He has no need to start with. Self-sufficient, you talk about a person or a country, as an example, that builds its economy on this. They produce what they need. So they don't depend on others. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't, quote unquote, depend on himself. So the creature, khalqullah, is us. Is not his essence. We cannot say that his essence is khalquhu huwa. So it can be edited in Arabic. I cannot, of course, edit it in Arabic, but I tried to present it in English the way it is. Because what I read, the evil is some of his creatures, not his creatures. It's redundant. So that's why I chose not his attribute of creating. We cannot say that his attribute of creating things has deficiency or has evil. He created things. He wants to create it in this way. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is his will. I hope that it answered the question. If not,
and
let me know.
There's also another comment. So evil is purely because of the choice a human being makes, because he has been given the free will. Otherwise, evil doesn't exist.
Okay, we'll talk about this later on. Yes, that's right. Yeah, inshallah, it will come in its time. So he says, Ibn al-Qayyim, go back to Ibn al-Qayyim, someone commits haram, that's bad, evil. But being given the free will, okay, here it is, by God, and acting in this way, it's good. Okay, someone committed shirk. Is it good or bad? It's bad, evil. But where is the good in it? It's not in the shirk per se, but rather, wait a minute, how did the person commit the shirk? Ibn al-Qayyim says, Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave people the free will. Allah created man in this setup that has the free will. Some of them will believe, some of them will not. This setup is good. This is his argument, Ibn al-Qayyim. It's very excellent and very profound argument, actually. Rahimahullah. This is in his book Shifa'ul Alil fi Masail al-Qada' wal-Qadar wal-Ta'lil. It's in Arabic. I'm not sure if it is available in English. Is there any question or follow-up, please, on any point mentioned or asked?
There is a comment on Facebook. One of the benefits or hikmah of Allah's wisdom is that the hardships and suffering brings the believer closer to Allah and can cause the non-believers to seek answers and question the life and may lead them to recognize the truth if they encounter those who can explain it.
Yes, it can. Yes, it has the potential of this. That's right. Yes. Now, what's the Quran approach? The shar at times is translated to mean evil. At times it means bad thing. So when someone commits violations of the hukum shari, it is bad thing. It is qabih. It is haram. But at times it's also used as the word shar. So these words will not get into the semantics of these words. Shar is presented in two distinct groups of ayat in our Quran Kareem. The first category talk verses that are talking about our actions, describing our actions as good and bad. And it means it is a situation that man puts himself in, or that man creates for himself. Haram. Haram acts are always shar. Now, Al-Quran Kareem told us that the communication, the creation of universe and humankind is for a cause, for a purpose. And here I brought these ayat. One ayah, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. The very first surah Al-Baqarah talks about the mission of man. Mission of human being in this earth is to take care of the earth. Khalifa, not Khalifatullah, not God's vicegerent. Some people translate it, and when your Lord said to the angels, I am appointing a vicegerent in the earth. No, that's not the true meaning of the word Khalifa. Khalifa means the one who comes after the other. We didn't come after Allah. We came by Allah. So we cannot say that we are his vicegerents. But we are coming in such a way that either we succeeded some people before us, before Adam, or also we are coming in certain ways so that each generation will succeed the other. And he told us in many ayat, he is subjected to us, to human being, everything in this universe, in the ocean, in the space, and in the earth. But at the same time, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. To worship me. I did not create the jinn and the ins except to worship me. And another point, in your mission, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالْخَيْرِ وَالشَّرِّ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. And we are testing you with good and with bad. Sometimes a good deal your company has can be a test. Sometimes a loss in the company which you have can be a test. Good health can be a test. Disease can be a test. A newborn baby can be a test. Death can be a test. In both cases, Allah says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالْخَيْرِ وَالشَّرِّ فِتْنَةً. The fitna, the trial is in both. It can come in good way, in good action happened to you, good fortunate action, and this unfortunate action happened. Let's not link the fitna to just the bad things. It can be in both. That's the ayah says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالْخَيْرِ وَالشَّرِّ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. But at the end of the day, you are returning to us. These ayat are telling us we are living in a mission. We should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we'll be tested in good and in bad. And we will return back to him. That's why I keep using, when someone dies, I would say he returned to his Lord. وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. The ayat say. So based on this, it is expected from us to abide by the hukum shari. Why? Why is it expected? If I believe that I'm created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I have to submit to him. This is instinct in us. People have this instinct submitting to the Supreme. Some people thought that the Supreme is in the idol, astaghfirullah. Some people thought it's in the thunder. Some people thought it is in the star. But they did submit to something. Then the revelation came telling people, wait a minute, don't submit to this and this and this and this and this and that. Just submit to the one who created all of these things which you submit to. So now the revelation started directing us where to turn our faces. Like the example in Surah Al-An'am about Sayyidina Ibrahim, the way he started arguing with his people when he saw a star, when he saw the moon, and then when he saw the sun, and keeps sun, it rises and it sets. And then at the end of the day, he told them, we need to seek the guidance from God. Wait a minute, none of this can be God. So we have this purpose. We believe in this. We believe that we should worship, so we should abide. As simple as this. Put it in this perspective. And the result of neglecting this purpose for our creation entails shar. If I'm living in this universe with no purpose, then how am I going to act? Either I will think that I am the center of the universe, the entire universe orbits around me, or around my whims and desires and my ego, and this is just the biggest shar. So we need to look at our actions based on this which is mentioned in the Quran. This is the first category of ayat talk about shar. The second category talks about the human suffering, but it did not, these issues are not treated in the Quran Karim as theoretical problems. It didn't provide us with philosophical explanation at all. It just provides us with an instrument into the actualization of God's purpose, a rationale for the existence of various forms of evil and suffering. So the Quran Karim told us that all of this which happens, those inflictions, this human suffering, is happening as a trial, ابتلاء, and a test. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ. We are going to test you with something some of fear, والجوع, hunger, ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات, and a shortage, lack of some fund, some souls, some human souls, human relatives, my father, my son, my wife, والثمرات, and the fruit. وبشر الصابرين, and give good tidings for the ones who are patient. الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. The ones who, if they get inflicted by a calamity, they will say, we are to Allah, and to Him we will return. We belong to Him, and to Him we will return. And then another ayah in Surah Tabarak. The first ayah is in Surah Al-Baqarah. The other ayah, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. The one who created death and life so that you will be tested. Who is doing the best? So Muslims should look at such things as an opportunity to get closer to the Creator in our spiritual journey. Instead of keep crying, why did I get sick? Look, this introspective, look at myself. Okay, my sickness proves that I am weak, and my weakness should get me closer to God. I cannot be independent. I'm not independent agent in this universe. We depend on Him. So since we depend on Him, we are asking Him for mercy, we are asking Him for guidance, we are asking Him for tranquility, for everything. Now, at times, the wisdom can be understood, and at times the wisdom cannot be understood. And as we'll see later on now. Now, the natural evil, quote unquote, natural evil is not addressed in the Quran Kareem. That's another note regarding these ayat. And Quran did not articulate systematic theodicy in this matter. They didn't philosophize khayr and shar, told us how to look at it in our journey to achieve the ultimate objective, which is God's creation. Is there any question, please?
Yeah, there's one quick question. What do you mean by natural evil?
Quote unquote, natural evil, like the earthquakes, like the volcanoes, Okay, these which cannot be actually evil. It's subject how do you look at it. So many scholars in their fields, they talked about the benefit of the earthquake, the benefit of the volcano in certain areas, not in another area. But the point is, it's not absolute evil. That's the point. That's what all other scholars talk about. There is something good in it. But Al-Quran didn't talk about the earthquakes. They talked about the earthquake, which will come in when the hour comes. They talked about some quote unquote earthquake as a form of punishment caused to some people, but not all earthquakes are punishment. So Quran didn't talk about these phenomena. Now, the objective behind this, not articulating certain systematic theodicy, the objective is not to engage in abstract ideas, but rather to help him to realize the purpose of suffering and offer guiding principles in how to overcome various forms of evil. That's the point.
So there are also two, one's a question, one's a comment.
Yes.
Just to clarify, are you saying that God didn't create evil?
So we have to go all over again now. What do you mean God created evil or didn't create evil?
So I'll let them take the
You
time
mean
to quickly
Iblis? God created Iblis. God created these things which has two attributes in it at times. God created man, giving him the free will and the free opportunity to decide the right path or the wrong path, which is the evil path. That's why most scholars said you attribute evil to God in this metaphorical way.
Mm-hmm.
In this way, yes, of course, God did. Not in the sense of that he is forcing me to do it. So it is outcome of certain actions or outcome of certain things. And yes, God, when he creating us, knows that we will carry out these things. He knows that the earth will have this earthquake. He knows. So in one way, he is the one who created this. But in what sense? That's the point. Not in the sense of that he wants me to commit the haram. He gave me the free option. And when I committed haram, I didn't commit haram against his will, but he doesn't want me to commit haram. He told me that haram is not acceptable. Can he force me not to? Yes, of course he can. Why he didn't prevent me? Because he created us with the free will. So the issue of the evil should be linked also to the issue of the free will. Who created us with this attribute, having the free will? Allah, of course, Allah. Is it clear, please? The one who asked this question. Did you get answer or do you have another follow-up comment?
So I'll give them some time to type in the chat, or if they want to unmute themselves, by all means. But we can also move on quickly to the next. There are two more comments. One comment is, so if Iblis hadn't disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, evil in the form of shar wouldn't exist, or shar wouldn't exist.
Okay, yes.
And then
form of shar would exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then there's also a comment from Brother Harun. There is some good in COVID-19, cleaner air, quality time with family, light traffic, cheaper gas, and made us appreciate good health.
There is good thing in the COVID-19, the environment itself, the pollution. You look at some photos taken from Taj Mahal and Paris, you can't believe that this is India. The sky is very clear. There are good things. Yeah, well, that's what we say. They can be, you can list some other things, but for us, on socially speaking, at one more time tells us the shortcomings of the human beings. It tells us that a virus is smaller than even the bacteria. They are debating whether it is living being or not. not a dubab. And one ayah Al-Quran Al-Karim talks about the dubab, the fly. If the fly takes away something from people, they will not be able to get it back. Neither them nor their so-called gods. So now it's not a fly. It's something we cannot see. A virus, not even a germ, not even a bacteria. It's not even one cell. And yet causes all of this thing. Till now, they are trying to figure out what are the dynamics of this disease. So it, in one way, really, alhamdulillah, it shows us how humble we should. We are not arrogant. We are not the center of the world. We shouldn't think of ourselves that we are mastering everything, but rather we are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is the one who created all of these things with all of these attributes. Yes. Any other question or comment, please? So these things are mentioned in a paper written by Nasreen Rosati, Professor of Religious Studies Department, Manhattan College in New York. Her paper, The Evil and the Human Suffering in Islamic Thought Towards a Mystical Theodicy, by Nasreen Rosati. Now, Al-Quran Al-Karim gave us examples for prophets. Went through trial, and I will talk about some of them briefly. Number one, Adam, the first prophet. He went through a trial, and he became prophet after even that trial. When he was told not to eat from that tree, okay, after that, after he ate, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pardoned him, and then and then he chose him to carry the message. And then we have Prophet Job, Ayub, the way he was tested, the disease he had. And Ayub, the good servant Ayub was. He was very returning to Allah. And then Ibrahim, how many tests he was tested? Yusuf, how many tests he was tested? So I almost, like they say, the most people who will be tested are the prophets, are tested even more than people. And then Musa and Surah Al-Kahf, when he met Al-Abd al-Salih, they have these three encounters: damaging a ship, killing a child, building a wall. Musa alayhi salam didn't see why is this man doing this. And after he explained it to him, now Musa understands that he has limitations, although he was prophet and he receives revelation. And the other person also, most likely he was prophet, because he says, we gave him knowledge. And another ayah, وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ عَنْ أَمْرِي, and I didn't do all of this on my own. So most likely he was prophet, but he was given certain information not given to Musa alayhi salam. It tells us that we at times, even if we are prophets, and we are not, but even a prophet wouldn't be able to understand or to comprehend what's next, what's coming out of this. That was a test to Musa alayhi salam, practical test. And then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, same thing. He was tested, went through so many tests in his life. Before his birth, his father passed away. Early stage, his mother passed away. And then he was taken care of by his grandfather, passed away. Then his uncle Abu Talib, and Abu Talib, died later on. And then his uncle, the biggest supporter, passed away. His wife, Khadija, Allahumma arda anha, passed away. All of these are tests from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what was his attitude? Allahumma in lam yakun bika alayya ghadabun fala ubali. Oh Allah, if you don't have an anger on me, I care less for people. This is what I care about, my relationship with you. Now, Al-Quran Al-Karim brought up these stories, because again, لقد كان في قصصهم عبرة لأولي الألباب. There are in their stories, there is lesson in their stories for those who think. What are the most important points which we learn? That after trial, there will be ease. At times, we don't know what's next. Look to Yusuf alayhi salam. When they took him, his brothers took him and they put him in the well. After he was told. But when they were throwing him, he didn't know what's coming next. Musa alayhi salam didn't know what's coming next. Not because of anything, but rather this is the nature of the human being. The angels said from day one, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them that he will appoint a Khalifa in the earth, and he asked Adam to tell the angels what are these things, they said قالوا لا علم لنا. When Allah asked the angels to tell him what to answer these questions, okay, what's this, what's that, what's this, what's that, the asma, the objects. قالوا لا سبحانك لا علمنا إلا ما علمتنا. We have no knowledge except what you gave us. So that knowledge was not given to Musa at that time. It was given to Musa later on. That knowledge was not given to Yusuf instantly. It was given to him later on. So at times, we don't know what's next. And they are prophets. How about us? Of course, we will even, more than them, our disability to know what's next will be more than them. So if we view issues as khair and shar, it would be based on our short-term view. So usually, if something happens and we like it, we label it as khair. If it happens and we dislike it, we label it as shar. That's usually. But is it the case, or is it not? Only Allah knows what's next. And that's why the outcome can be good. And this is the ayah, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With the difficulty, there will be ease. Surely with the difficulty, there will be ease. And Umar's statement used to say, لَنْ يَغْلِبَ عُسْرٌ يُسْرَيْنِ. The word usr, difficulty in the ayah, is joined with the definitive article, but the word yusr is not. So he is considering the usr in the ayah 1, but the yusr, the easiness, is 2. So the 2 yusr will not be defeated by 1 usr. So this is the way he looked at it. So no matter how it gets tough, inshallah, it will get better. That's our attitude. Is there any question, please? Okay. Now the paradigm. Number one, and the paradigm, I tried to build it from scratch. The first starting point in this paradigm is our intellect is limited. We don't know everything. No absolute person at all. We cannot think even beyond what is beyond our perception. Every day we travel by planes, and when we hear a sound of a plane, we can tell, yeah, this is a plane, but no way for us to tell what is the color of it, how many seats in it. Now, some people will speculate. If a person is expert and he tells you this is the sound of Boeing 733, 737, as an example, he'll tell you, yeah, it has, as an example, 120 seats, but he will not tell you whether they are occupied or not, although it is within our perception. But at that moment, it is not. So we cannot tell. So we have to accept our limitations. That's one point. We cannot have discussion issues not within our perception. And in many cases, we have problem when we start exercising, quote unquote, thinking in issues not related to whatever we sense. So we started discussing the hikmah of Allah, something that we have no clue about, we have no information about. There is a hikmah from Allah, but we don't know. We have to accept this. We have to accept that this universe is, there is a system, there is good and bad things happen in it from the very beginning, and yet this universe is created by creator. So don't come and tell me after that that the presence of bad things prove to me that there is no creator. We already, is the starting point is this universe with all of these goods and bads in it. And yet we say that it is created by the creator. Now this creator has many attributes, beautiful names, 99 names and many attributes. أسماءه الحسنى وصفاته العليا. Al-Alim, Al-Qadir, Al-Aziz, Al-Hakim. At times the attribute can be mentioned together. Al-Aziz, Al-Hakim, the Almighty, the Wise. So we have Al-Hakim is one of his attributes, one of his names. So why don't we say, go back to question 1 that Epicurus asked, okay, yes, God has all of this, but he has hikmah from creating evil. So don't assume if there is God, there should be no evil. Unless if you are God, you want to create the world in this way, which is different. So then he sent us revelation, and this revelation is proven through our intellect. Conclusively, that is from him, Al-Quran Kareem. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Al-Quran told us that man is on a mission. That's part of the paradigm. Man has free will also. So many ayat told us this. وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ, and we guided him the 2 paths. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا, and a human soul, the way Allah set it up, and فَأَلْهَمَهَا inspired the soul to either choose the right path or the wrong path. So, but choosing the right path or the wrong path is exercised by whom? By the human agent, by us, not by God. God gave us the free will. God defined the right and the bad. God sent messengers to define this. God created in our intellect, in our brains, the capability of understanding. And if this quality is not there, then there will be no accountability. And after that, he told us that at the end, there will be this result or that result. The whole blueprint was mentioned to us. And okay, go ahead and work. So this life is a transitional stage to the eternal life, the hereafter. It's not the end. This life is not the end of the life. It is just a stage. Ad-dunya mamarrun lil-akhirah. It's a passage we pass through to the hereafter. And it is a test, good and bad. At times we don't see this, and at times even we cannot see it. So not seeing it, it's due to our limitations. And we have to accept here the uncertainty. You know, in the first presentation, first week of this month, Dr. Osman Amarji talked about the uncertainty. There are areas where uncertainty will be tolerated. There are areas in which, of course, uncertainty will not be tolerated. I cannot say, well, I'm not sure if there is God or not. That you have to be sure, this or that. And you decide. No one would decide for you. But after that, what's the hikmah behind creating Iblis, as an example, even if it is as basic as this? Maybe some people will speculate, will bring us some, maybe it will be debated. But okay, if I'm not sure 100% about it, can I live without it? Without this certainty? Yes, I can live. As long as I believe that I'm in a mission, and Iblis, I will not listen to Iblis. My point is not how to philosophize Iblis, but my point should be how to protect myself from the whispering of not just Iblis and the whispering of human satans. Min al-jinnati wan-nas. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to warn about the whispering of the jinnah, the jinn, the Iblis and his soldiers, and the nas, the human satans. A friend comes to me, whispering to me that it's okay, you are in need. Why don't you apply for riba? Why don't you do this? You are the housekeeper for this warehouse. Why don't you take this ballot and just smuggle it outside to someone, and he'll sell it and will take the money? No one will is checking on you. all of this, what I should be worried about. What's the result of keep philosophizing what is Iblis? If every time Iblis gets a chance to trap me. So the point is how not to be trapped by him or by any other human being. The ultimate goal of all of this is God's pleasure, Ridwanullahi ta'ala. And the reward, good deeds, will be good. When we face calamities with good attitude, will be unimagined. It will be, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, the Jannah. So this makes our life purposeful life. That's the point. And here comes a world without evil. So a world without evil is coming, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, for those who believe in him and follow the message he sent. Now, why did God allow this to exist? That's another question. After we establish all of this, why did God allow this to exist? Again, we know this from the very beginning that these things exist. Yet we concluded that there is a creator. No evil, what does it mean? It means no free will, no test, no death, no sickness, no competition, no rewards, no punishment, nothing. Which actually means we are talking about different life, different world. So let's not keep discussing why did God allow this? Then the question, why did God create the whole creation? He knows what he created. And he is the one who is gentle with his ibad. And Khabir knows, the quote unquote expert, has the insight of what will happen and what's happening. So we need to look at evil within this perspective. That's the point. How to look at the evil will tell us how to do it, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. Is there any question, please? Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, I wanted to voice it because I thought it was a lot easier than maybe typing it out. But all these points are valid. They stand, evil, how it's necessary for second order good, and all in life is a test. And but one point that I think should be called out, at least from the philosophical problem of evil to refute God's existence, is you can never use the existence of evil to refute the existence of God, because to even understand what evil is and to categorize evil means that you have an objective basis in the reality to say something is good or bad.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you have to say God exists in order to say something is evil. Otherwise, if we restrict it to the human being and their understanding, it'll always be an intersubjective understanding of what good or evil is versus an objective basis. So to even say evil exists means you necessarily have to say God exists.
Yes, we talked about this. And Maturidi used the presence, the existence of evil as an evidence for the existence of God. Yes, yeah, that's right. Okay, now the main point now is how to view evil within certain context. Look at evil within the context which we talked about. There is God. God created everything. There are certain things that happen in this or in that. God told us that there will be a result for this or for that, and so on. So look at it within this context. And our focus should be of what? How to abide by the hukum shari. If my son dies, or my wife, or my father, okay, instead of keep asking why did he die, let me ask myself, what can I do, inshallah, so that make sure that he'll be rewarded. So if I am his son, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, if the son of Adam dies, then his actions will be closed except 3 items. One of them, waladun salihun yad'u lah. And waladun salihun yad'u, good child, good boy or girl, make dua for him. Now he'll be rewarded not just for your dua. Your father will be rewarded for your good deeds. 2. What about if a son dies? He'll not be rewarded by like the actions of his father, like the father will be rewarded by his actions, but still there is room for the parents to do it with their child. Make dua for him. If he didn't leave a will, you can establish sadaqah on his behalf. If he didn't, if he missed fasting, let me say there was a sister asked me about a situation where she told me that her son, rahimahullah, passed away. And she said he used to pray, of course, he used to fast, alhamdulillah, but at certain times he missed the fasting because either he was sick or he was traveling. I told her, you can, it's up to you. You can fast on his behalf, because a woman came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, told him, Ya Rasulullah, my mother died without performing Hajj. Can I perform Hajj on her behalf? And in another case, she didn't fast. Can I fast on her behalf? She missed fasting because of the special situation of women. So he told her, if there is loan, if your mother has a loan, would you pay the loan? She told him yes. So he told her, the loan that we owe towards Allah is more worth to be fulfilled. So this is a lesson for us. Instead of just discussing the death, let's move to what's after the death. And different scholars, we said, presented the good ideas on this topic, especially in Maturidi. And we need really to appreciate the Islamic literature. Now, I will conclude by Farabi. Farabi is a philosopher. He died in the year 339. He said the evil is optional. No one will be forced to do bad thing because of the free will. There is no natural evil, he says. The earthquake and these things, you cannot be labeled them as evil because it's a natural occurrence. We know that it's happening before we start discussing about God. This is a good way to look at them. Why do you consider it as evil? Why don't you say it's natural occurrence? Now, the result of it can be good to some people, can be bad to some other people. The pure good, he says, al-khayrul mahd, is the heavens, the paradise. And the good is what leads to it. The pure evil, al-sharrul mahd, is the hell, and the evil is what leads to it. Sickness, he says, sicknesses are part of the system and can be reason for good. Actually, like Ibn al-Qayyim. Sickness is a part of the system, and there can be good in it. We talked about Ibn al-Qayyim, how did he view it? He said natural disasters can't be looked at as bad while there is good in it. Thus, how can they be looked at as evil? Any question about this, please? Is it clear? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So, any question, please? Is there any question?
There are no questions
Okay.
or comments here, but
okay, because I'll move to the last slide. This is a list of few papers that in Arabic and in English that can be read in order to take more idea about this. Ibn al-Qayyim book, Shifa'ul Alil Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya, or Ibn al-Qayyim. You cannot say Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya means he is the son of the supervisor of a school called al-Jawziyya. لماذا يعاني البشر؟ وجود الله ومشكلة الشر. محمد الشناوي. That's in Yaqeen Institute page in Arabic. Why do people suffering? It's available also in English. And another paper is in Al Jazeera. إذا كان الله يحكم الكون فلماذا لا يقضي على الشر? If God has full control in this universe, then why wouldn't he just erase the shar? Sami Hodi, Al Jazeera blogs. And then there is an article and a book by Dr. Sami Amri, مشكلة الشر ووجود الله. It's available in Arabic. And another paper, علم الكلام والشبهات المعاصرة، مشكلة الشر عند الإمام الماتريدي علي محمود العمري. the Kalam theology and current some suspicious things like the shar, the problem of the evil according to Al-Imam al-Maturidi. In English, why do people suffer? God's existence and the problem of evil by Muhammad Shinawi, Yaqeen Institute. The positive value of evil, very good analysis by Dr. Jane Mary True. The uses of evil in Maturidian thought by Merrick Pasingo. It's available online. There is a God by Anthony Flew. Evil and Human Suffering in Islamic Thought by Nasreen Rosati. These are just limited list. If you want more list, so many things, so many literature written in the past and currently about the issue of the evil. Is there any question, please, before we conclude? Any question?
Does anyone have any questions if they want to speak or
comment?
Yeah, or comments in general.
Okay.
Okay then. So with that, inshallah, we can conclude our Ramadan sessions for the year. We hope that there was something of benefit in these sessions, inshallah. They should still be available on Facebook and on YouTube shortly after for you to watch and share. If you have any suggestions pertaining to the next Ramadan session, so for 2021, please feel free to reach out to either myself or the speaker or through Al-Arqam Institute. And beyond that, I know waiting for Ramadan 2021 might be pretty far, so please keep an eye out for a suggestion form that will be made available on Al-Arqam's Facebook page. So if you guys have any suggestions for events or topics that you want to hear, or things in general, please let us know, and inshallah we can plan accordingly. With that being said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our fasts, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.